Hey guys, Tom Powers, Tomahawk Self Defense. Today we're going to be talking about a point in your training that you're really going to want to strive for and really pay attention to. We don't cover it a lot in the self-defense training system, but inevitably whenever I run students through the class, we see this happen. And it's called the freeze. The freeze basically, if you read any book by any violence expert, I mean they're all over the place, everybody says the same thing. That moment when you're attacked and the mind locks up, the body stops. Because what's happening at this point is you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and your mind is racing for something that matches in your life so that it knows how to respond. Right? They refer to that as the freeze. It's that momentary aspect of the attack that you're really not prepared for. The old crap factor. No matter if you've never been in a street fight in your life, or if you're a 20-year veteran of prisons and you see violence every day, the freeze happens. Now, the key is training through the freeze, or basically getting yourself to get into the freeze and get out as fast as possible. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today in this short video is how to do that in your training, especially when working with a partner. Now, right now I got Bob set up with some arms here. You're going to see this in some of the other videos we got coming up. But this is just for demonstration purposes. In order to actually induce the freeze, you really need to work with a live partner. When we teach in class, we normally see this around week 6 or so when we're getting into weapons defense. And you've shown them the weapons defenses, and now you actually swing the club at them. There's that freeze. The adrenaline starts to kick in. I'm going to tell you a real fast, short story. I'm a licensed pilot, instrument rated, trained with a Delta captain who had 30,000 plus hours in the air. And when you're training instruments and you poke your nose into the clouds and everything goes bright white, your senses lie to you. And we refer to it as vertigo or spatial disorientation. And what happens is you effectively freak out. And at that point, you lose control of the aircraft, you spiral out, you die. It happens a lot to inexperienced pilots. And what our instructor would do is he would bring us into the clouds and he would induce vertigo to us so that we knew what it felt like, we knew how to handle it, and we knew how to get out. And we would do this multiple times. And the more times you got in, the easier it was to get out. You could actually feel it start to creep up. The freeze in self-protection and self-defense training is the same thing. You're going to get into it. It's going to happen. Now we just have to train ourselves to get out of it quickly. And here's how we do that. We'll say that Bob is attacking me with a stick. I'll grab one real fast here. All right, there he is. He's swinging the club at me, right? And if my entry is say just a quick parry and then I drive my elbow into him, just this. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have your partner swing this club at you. And the first couple times you do it, you'll be like, okay, great, I got my entry, that's fantastic. This is how I'm going to react, that's fine. But then he's going to start swinging a little faster. And that's where the adrenaline starts to kick in, and you get that freeze factor. Works the same way if you bring a training knife into it or something along those lines. In other words, what we want to do is we basically want to induce the freeze because the person doesn't know what's coming. So maybe he's got a training knife and the club, he's decided to swing the club at me, and I do this. At that point, your training partner should stop. You then get into whatever it is that you're going to do and start training your mind for the one reflex. Now, if we train in all these martial arts and you got all these different options, you got 19 different things that can go through, something called Hick's Law takes over. And Hick's Law basically says the more choices you have, the longer the freeze is going to be, because you can't make a decision on which one is best. So when you're training this, just train your favorite maneuver. If it's a high club maneuver, the rising elbow entry works great, right there. Okay. It works the same way if the guy's got a weapon on you or something along those lines. You're just going to work on the one maneuver that you are going to use, your favorite one, the one that works best for you, and have your partner train you into the freeze. And if you start to get it down, have them speed it up a little bit. And what you're going to find is that freeze goes shorter and shorter each time. All we're doing is conditioning our mind for the situation so that it can make a choice quicker. That's called fighting the freeze. Anybody who tells you that you have the ability to completely eliminate it is unbelievably wrong. Don't listen to them. Happens to everybody, happens all the time. You have to observe the situation, you have to interpret it, you have to decide how to act, and then you have to act. So the scenario here is we want to observe, interpret, and decide very, very quickly to the point of muscle reflex. So that's fighting the freeze. Get your partners to help you out with this, especially in weapons defense. Have them swing a club or the knife. Whichever one is coming at you, you're not going to know. That's great. And then when you really, really want to start inducing the freeze, start dropping the lights. Bring a lower light condition down into here. And now the adrenaline starts to amp up. This is just a quick partner drill that you guys are really going to love. And I highly recommend it. In fact, I put my students through it starting around week 5 or week 6. And for the next 5 weeks, they live in it. So give that a shot. Hope to talk to you soon. Tom Powers, Tomahawk Self Defense.